could boost Gamaleya's chances for an emergency use authorization here in the Philippines. The CREATE bill is finally up for President Duterte's signature. The Senate ratified the bicam-approved bill, which will reduce corporate income taxes and provide VAT exemptions for COVID-19 vaccines and medical equipment. The Toll Regulatory Board is eyeing to impose a three-strike policy against motorists who keep using toll roads with unloaded RFIDs. And there's no stopping this year's Tokyo Olympics, regardless of the COVID-19 situation. Fast, focused, and fearless. Here's a roundup of stories we're watching now. I'm Sean Yao. Russia says its state-developed Sputnik V vaccine has over 91% efficacy against COVID-19. For the details, Greg Gregorio is reporting to us live from Mandaluyong City. Hello, Greg. Will this affect Sputnik's pending application for emergency use here in the Philippines?
Sean, health officials say Gamaleya's recent report on the efficacy of its shot is a good news. However, they stress that the government needs to approve the vaccine first before it can be used in the country. According to the interim analysis of Gamaleya, Sputnik V has 91.6% efficacy. The Russian state-owned medical institute also reported that the shot has 100% protection against severe infection. The results have also been peer-reviewed by experts and posted on the scientific journal called The Lancet. Among the thousands of trial participants, the most common adverse effects were flu-like illness, injection site reactions, headache, and asthenia or loss of strength. No serious adverse event related to the vaccine have been reported so far. The Health Department welcomed the development but noted that the report still needs to undergo thorough review. Recall that Gamaleya filed an application for emergency use of Sputnik V in the country last January 7. Food and Drug Administration Director General Eric Domingo said the interim analysis adds confidence to the vaccine. Domingo has forwarded the reviews along with Gamaleya's raw data to our experts for assessment. According to Domingo, they will decide on the EUA application of the Russian agency within the month. Vaccine czar Carlito Galvez Jr. said that, in fact, the government has been under a negotiation with Gamaleya. But due to the confidentiality data agreement, the quantity of the possible procurement cannot be disclosed just yet. In a recent survey conducted by UST COVAX team on vaccine preference, Sputnik V got a relatively low score of 38.6%. The same with China shots with an average score of only 17.7%. Lower compared to that of Western nations with 75.3% preference. Moreover, only 55.9% of the respondents are willing or ready to get vaccinated regardless of brand. Sean, the FDA is appealing to the public to reserve judgment against vaccines until scientific evaluations are completed. DOH meanwhile vows to launch more information drive to boost vaccine confidence among the Filipino people. Sean?
Thank you, Greg Gregorio, joining us live from Mandaluyong City. And it's all systems go for several LGUs here in Metro Manila as vaccines are expected to begin arriving this month. Churches and universities are also offering to open up their facilities as inoculation sites. Jen Kalimon has the good news.
Several local government units in Metro Manila are rolling up their sleeves for their planned vaccination programs. In Quezon City, Mayor Joy Belmonte says they have allotted 1 billion pesos to purchase 1.1 million vaccine doses from British Sweden firm AstraZeneca. The LGU is also in talks with Novavax and Johnson & Johnson for additional shots. QC is looking to inoculate 1.7 million out of 3.1 million residents to achieve herd immunity. They also plan to finish vaccination in 7 months by getting at least 10,500 residents injected per day. Non-residents who work in the city will also be inoculated.
what we're trying to do now is generate data from, let's say, universities, call centers, yung mga malls, parishes, and the rationale behind that issue is how can you achieve herd immunity kung yung mga residents mo lang ang babakunahan mo, tapos yung kalahating hindi mo residente, hindi mo babakunahan, and then nangahawa pa rin sila sa mga taga dito, di ba?
The city has identified 24 sites for the immunization program. Several churches and universities have offered to convert their facilities into vaccination sites. Over in Navotas City, 103,000 of more than 270,000 residents are expected to receive COVID-19 vaccines. The LGU has signed an agreement with AstraZeneca for 100,000 shots. The remaining doses will come from Moderna and Pfizer, depending on the national government's approval. Ultra-low temperature freezers and transport coolers have also been purchased for the 20 vaccination sites in the city. Mayor Toby Tiangco says the city had conducted dry runs to ensure a smooth vaccination process.
Kasi sa ibang bansa, ang daming bakuna, hindi naman na ma-roll out. Kaya doon sa Navotas, nagpapangalawang dry run na kami. Kasi yung practice kung papaano malilesen yung mga mistakes.
Meanwhile, both mayors have not received word from AstraZeneca regarding problems with supply. This after President Duterte accused the European Union of holding up vaccines to other countries. They also clarified that LGUs have the national government's blessing to procure their own vaccines.
We are not in a strong position to bargain. Ibig sabihin, kung ano lang yung maging available dyan, kailangan na natin bilhin kaagad. Kasi hindi lang naman tayo ang nangangailangan. At tignan natin yung sitwasyon, nag-aagawan po talaga lahat.
They are also asking for cooperation from their respective residents in carrying out their immunization programs, as they cannot afford another severe lockdown. Reporting for News 5, Jen Calimon, We are One News.
The country's COVID-19 caseload has reached the 530,000 mark. That's after the Health Department reported over 1,200 new infections today, bringing the active case count to above 31,000. The virus killed 68 more patients in the past 24 hours, pushing the death toll to almost 11,000. Recoveries now stand at 487,000, with 130 additional survivors today. Pausing for a quick break, but we will be back with more stories after that. Stay with us. Still watching One News Now. I'm Sean Yao. Senate has ratified the bicam-approved corporate recovery and tax incentives for enterprises or CREATE bill. Under this measure, corporate income tax is lowered from 30% to 25% for large companies and from 30% to 20% for medium and small enterprises. In terms of COVID-19 related provisions, the bill will exempt drugs, vaccines, medical devices, and PPEs from value added tax or VAT until December 2023. The lower chamber ratified the BICAM report on the bill in the first minutes of its plenary session earlier today. The CREATE bill is now up for the President's signature. The Labor Department is urging Philippine Airlines to reduce the number of employees that are up for retrenchment. The airline earlier announced that it will be laying off 2,300 employees as part of its recovery program. Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello III said that the retrenchment of some companies could lead to a bigger problem.
And that is true, matagal na lang sinasabi sa amin yan. And in fairness, talagang they try their best na kung maaari ay talagang hindi sila mag-retrench. Pero yun siguro na it has come to a point na they really have to come up with best of decision in order to save the operation of the PAL as an airline.
For its part, the Employers Confederation of the Philippines said it is expecting more companies to lay off employees because of the pandemic. ECOP President Sergio Ortiz Luis said that financial assistance to workers is not sustainable as funds can easily be depleted. Instead, Luis Ortiz suggests that easing quarantine restrictions is necessary to speed up economic recovery.
Yung second wave na unemployment ang grabe. Nakikita ko yung mga listahan na hindi ko alam kung official or what. No? Yung mga binebentang kumpanya, yung mga kumpanya nagbabalak na magsara, nakakatakot.
Here are other stories we're keeping our eyes on. The Toll Regulatory Board is planning to impose a 3-strike rule against motorists who enter RFID lanes without sufficient load. Under the policy, a reminder will be issued on the first offense and a warning for the second offense. But on strike 3, violators will be apprehended and a 1,000 peso penalty will be meted out. Respondents in the Christine de Serra case submitted a counter-affidavit and memorandum today at the Makati Prosecutor's Office. The PNP has ruled out homicide after the medico-legal report showed that de Serra died of natural causes. The next hearing is slated for February 11. And senators are mourning the death of former Senator Sonny Osmeña, who passed away at 2 p.m. today. He was 86. Senate President Tito Soto, who worked with the late senator, called Osmeña a savvy Cebuano legislator. The Philippine flag in the Senate will remain at half-mast in honor of the deceased lawmaker. And in sports, there's no stopping the Olympics from happening in Tokyo this year, regardless of the COVID-19 situation. This is according to Tokyo 2020 President Yoshiro Mori, who is closely working with the International Olympic Committee, or IOC, to make the rescheduled games happen. Mori says the discussion should now focus on how and not whether the Olympics will happen. The games are slated to kick off on the last week of July. Speculations about the game's viability came to the fore alongside the recent spike of COVID-19 infections that triggered a state of emergency in Japan. For more updates, visit News 5, The Philippine Star, and Business World online. Visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. You can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com and stream One News Live anytime, anywhere. I'm Sean Yao. We are One News.